Hello friends, welcome to LeggLife. In today's video, we are talking about what probably has been the biggest Disney cruise news over the last couple of weeks. We have a lot of thoughts and we're going to share them all with you about the piece of property that Disney just purchased in the Bahamas.
So in case you haven't heard, Disney just acquired its second property in the Bahamas.
Obviously the first property being Castaway Cay, Disney's private island, and probably our favorite place in the entire world. So when we first heard buzz about this, it was actually last October while we were on our cruise on the Disney Dream. Disney had been working for some time with the Bahamian government and a private landowner to secure this 700-acre piece of land on the island of Eleuthera. Now, if you don't know where Eleuthera is, neither did I, thank goodness for Google. So I have a map right here showing you kind of where Castaway Cay is, showing you where Nassau is, showing you where this new piece of property is. So as you can see, this is currently more south and east than any other place in the Bahamas that Disney's currently visiting. And the story behind this island is pretty fascinating and we're pretty excited about what could happen. So we're just going to talk about everything. And you guys know, if you watch our videos, I'm a researcher, right? Like, I love to dig into stuff. So this video really isn't, Sherri's laughing at me. So this video isn't just like us being like, we're excited, there's a new island. Like, I have read almost every article about this I possibly can. I've watched videos of people who live on the island giving both good opinions and bad opinions about what it means for Disney to come in. So I really have tried to dig into this as much as possible. So I want to give you our opinions. I want to tell you what, like, all of the details that are public are, so that you have as good of an idea as possible about what the heck to expect from Disney from this amazing new property.
Without having to do all the research that he's done.
Yeah, I've done the work, now I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version.
So first, let's start with the piece of property.
So the island of Eleuthera is like long and skinny. It's about 100 miles long, but it's only 2 miles wide. So it's kind of a longer, skinnier island. This piece of property is called Lighthouse Point. It's basically at the southernmost point of the island. Now, Disney acquired 700 acres. That's huge. But Disney's not developing all 700 acres. In their agreement, they're actually donating 190 acres, the southernmost point of that actually, back to the Bahamian government to turn into a national park. And that's one of the things actually that kept coming up as I was watching these videos and reading stories online about Bahamian people who were kind of opposed to this, is that this is like such a pristine piece of property that is left. And they were worried that if Disney acquires it, the Bahamian people kind of lose it, right? They lose access to it, they lose this piece of land. So sort of in concession with that, Disney agreed to give 190 acres to a park. So I love, love, love that.
Plus national parks are super awesome.
Yeah, super awesome. So I love that. One thing that will be different, you know, Castaway Cay is a private island, right? So it's only Disney. This is not that. In fact, not only is it not a private island, Disney's actually not the only cruise line that's on this island. In fact, Princess Cruise Line has operated a port off of Eleuthera for a number of years. It's called Princess Cay, which one of our viewers pointed out is too bad they took that name, because that would be a great Disney, like a great Disney name. And it's on the western side of the island, whereas Disney's property will be on the eastern side of the island.
So they don't really mesh much.
Yeah, no, not really. But it won't be like a private island experience like Castaway Cay is.
So a question I had was, why would Disney actually be looking for another island or property in the Bahamas when they already have Castaway Cay, which is perfection? Yeah,
Castaway is perfection. And they go to Nassau, right? And so they already have places they stop. However, a couple reasons. One, Castaway can only handle one ship at a time, right? And remember, Disney's about to bring 3 new ships on. And so part of it, the Bahamas are clearly Disney's most popular cruising destination, just because of proximity and price and availability.
And beauty.
And beauty, absolutely. And so they, frankly, they had to add somewhere else, right? They have new ships coming on. It's the most popular destination. They needed another place. I think the other reason though, and Disney's never said this, nor would they ever, is that because the Bahamas are so popular, there's only so many times you can go to Nassau. You know what I mean? Like, I think, in fact, so I think you might even be able to say there's only so many times you can go to Castaway. You kind of need to freshen that up a little bit. And I actually think that this gives them the opportunity to do 3 and 4 night cruises that include this new stop. And like for us, when we go to a new port, that's like a super big draw to us. because we get to experience something new, we get to like see a new place. And so I think that you keep like all of the great things about the Bahamas, but you add something new. So to me, it makes total sense.
So what do we, as in you, know about what Disney will actually be building on the property?
Yeah, so, and I'll just say from the beginning, a lot of this stuff is like, this is super new news. So some of it is still speculation, right? So like, don't take what I say in this as like gospel, right? Like this, a lot of this is sort of rumor still, but there are some things that we know. Disney has agreed to invest basically $250 to $400 million in the development of this piece of property. So it's not going to be a small thing. And I will say that we also know that Disney's agreed to hire like 80% local Bahamian residents for the jobs. And I think I remember reading that it'll create 150 permanent long-term jobs. One of the videos that I watched from somebody who lives there on the island talked about like this tension between not wanting to lose the natural kind of beauty and access of the land to, you know, this big corporation, but also the realization that like people need jobs. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to support yourself. And so there's kind of this, you know, give and take a little bit. It's one of the reasons that I'm so happy that the natural parkland was donated, right? Because it seems like that it's not just this corporation taking all of the land, they're still making a donation back to the people so they can have this park. So that's about all that we know. There are a few other things that Disney's agreed that they have to have shops in the area that sell like native Bahamian artwork and crafts. You know, it can't just all be Disney kind of stuff. It has to be very native. It has to feel Bahamian. And so one of the things that Sherri and I had talked about in October when we first heard about Disney pursuing a second property is we were like, oh man, what if they like went totally themed? You know what I mean? What if it was like a pirates, like, you know what I mean? Like some of the restaurants are very like immersive experience. What if Disney pursued like a second Caribbean location?
Like the whole island in this immersive experience.
And so we were like super excited about that idea. It doesn't look like that's what they're doing, just because
missed opportunity, Disney.
Yeah, listen to us, Disney. And so it doesn't look like that's what they're doing. It looks like it will be more of kind of a natural, traditional beach stop. I will say the photos, and I'll pop some of them up here that I've been able to find online, look stunning. Like the area looks beautiful. Everything you read about this island talks about just the beaches truly are world class. The water is beautiful. It's largely untouched. It's not like Nassau, you know what I mean, which is super big and developed and overbuilt. This feels very, almost like when you think of the Bahama like retreat you'd want to go to, this is kind of, this is it, honestly.
So do we know what kind of shore excursions or anything else will be offered?
No, the only thing that we do know is that in the agreement, Disney basically said that they would rely on locals to provide those kind of things, right? That was part of the agreement, is that Disney wouldn't bring in a whole bunch of outside excursion people, that locals have to have the opportunity to provide those. But one thing I did, because I'm a huge nerd, and knowing that Princess has a stop on this island as well, I actually went on the Princess Cruise website and I looked at all of the excursions they offer on Eleuthera to kind of get an idea, thinking that like, okay, what they offer, Disney will probably offer similar things. A lot of beach type things, right? Like there was, of course, like rental of water sports, rental of, you know what I mean, like cabanas, the big beach things that you ride, the banana boats or whatever they're called, sailboats. The only real like cultural tours I saw, I think it was like a 2.5 hour or maybe a 3 hour tour of the island. That was on Princess's site. So it does look like if Disney keeps that same approach that Princess has, that there will be some opportunities to actually kind of go tour the rest of the island.
That's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun. And one thing that was interesting, I don't exactly know how this will work, is in the agreement it said that the Bahamian people have to have access still to the land. So I don't know if that means like that it won't feel like a totally private or secluded, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like, especially on Castaway, because it truly is private, you forget that there's like other people out there, right? Because it's like you were just in Disney beach heaven.
Right.
Whereas like that agreement that the land still has to remain accessible to the locals, I don't know exactly how that will work. I have no problem with that. Like it's their land as far as I'm concerned. They should have access to it. We just get to borrow it for an afternoon, right?
So at Castaway, because it is a private island, you're able to just get on and off the ship with just your Key to the World card.
Yeah.
Will that actually be a thing here?
I doubt it, largely because it doesn't look like it's private. It does look like it's open. My guess is that it will be treated like other international ports where you'll have to have your passport and your Key to the World card. Castaway kind of gets around to that because it really is private, right? Like it's an island. You're not going anywhere, right? Unless you're a really good swimmer. And so my guess with this is that you'll probably have to have a passport to get off the ship. At least that's what I would assume.
So the same kind of documentation you need to get off the boat or the ship in Nassau, you'll probably need here.
Yeah, exactly.
So then as far as getting off the ship,
yep.
at, Castaway, you can just kind of walk right off the ship and you're on the island, and you take your trams to wherever you need to go.
Yeah.
Any idea what that would look like?
It's actually one unique thing about Castaway. There's not a lot of private islands, ports where you do that, right? That you can actually pull the ship right up and walk right off. You have to take tender boats like we've experienced in ports. When I looked online, it looks like Princess does tender boats back and forth. And so my guess is that probably has to do with like sea depth as far as access of a boat. However, one thing that so my initial response would be probably you'll have to tender in, but then one thing in the agreement, it says that Disney will agree to build a port there. Now, I don't know if a port necessarily means that they can pull the ship up or just that like boats can come and dock like tender boats. So I'm not sure what that will look like yet. We don't totally know. And then as far as when it will open, again, that's kind of vague. 2021, 22, 23 is sort of the date range that's been floated out there, which makes sense because that's when the new ships are coming online. And my guess is that probably in that 2022 range, because once they get the first ship and certainly the second ship, places like Castaway are going to be just absolutely, like they're already busy, but they're just going to be even more like in demand for Disney cruise stops.
Right. So with this new location in the Bahamas, do you think that they will stop going to Nassau quite as much?
Actually, that's one of the kind of interesting things about this whole agreement is that Disney actually agreed, part of the purchase of this land is that Disney will actually increase stops in Nassau and in Freeport by 30 to 40%. So like it's not gonna like pull back in Nassau to go to this new property. We're gonna see more stops at Nassau, which actually makes sense because we're gonna have more ships.
More ships, yeah.
Right? But then also part of the agreement as well is that Disney has to bring 3 to 5 ships per week or stops per week into this new Lighthouse Point property. Wow. So this is gonna be almost immediately almost as busy as Castaway. Wow. Right? Like they're not going to do like, 1 or 2 sailings go there, and we're going to kind of like, once this thing is going, it is going to be like
full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead completely. So you guys, that is pretty much all that I know. As I watch videos from locals, really it was both sides, kind of as I touched on earlier. There are people who are really excited about what the jobs and the income and the revenue mean, right? Because that helps sustain life there. But then there are people that are like feeling this loss about this, what apparently is just a spectacularly beautiful piece of land, which I actually understand. We live in Alaska, right? Alaska is a naturally beautiful place. Mm-hmm. And like every time like a new building goes up or you hear of like this beautiful piece of property getting bought by like a Princess Cruise Line, you're kind of like, oh, like, you know what I mean? It feels a little bit like death because like we just love our land so much. So I understand what the Bahamian people are feeling right now. My hope though is that this is a development that really does benefit both sides. I hope Disney benefits, I hope people who cruise with Disney benefit, obviously for selfish reasons, but I really do hope that the Bahamian people who live there on Eleuthera benefit. I hope that the natural park there is beautiful and spectacular and well taken care of. Yeah. I hope that the new revenue that flows into that island because of this, like people have a better quality of life, And so my hope is that this is a win-win, and it seems like that's what people there want as well. Obviously there are people very passionate who didn't want to see this happen, right? There were a lot of online petitions and a lot of groups trying to stop this.
And again, we get that.
Completely. It didn't get stopped. It looks like this is happening. And so because it's happening, I hope that it really is going to, in the long term, benefit both people. But Sherri, let me ask you a question. So this is obviously a place we're going to go. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, let's be real honest. We're going.
I want to go right now.
For sure. What are you most excited about the Lighthouse Point property?
I love Castaway and I love just the Caribbean in general. Like it's just beautiful and peaceful, and I am excited to see more of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I think for me, it's very similar to that. Especially, I'm excited to see things that feel a little more untouched. Right? Because the only places that we've seen in the Bahamas, like the Bahamas are a place that I think it'd be spectacular to go on vacation and like take a little airplane or a sailboat to like some of the smaller islands. Yeah. Right? Because remember, in the Bahamas, all that we've seen is Nassau, like big, developed, touristy, and then Castaway Cay, which is like, it's almost like so private that it doesn't really feel real.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like Disney's version of the Bahamas because it's so perfect. Right. And so I'm excited because I feel like this port is going to be like the real Bahamas. You know what I mean? Like beaches and beauty, and I don't know, it just looks absolutely perfect from all of the photos that I've seen. So I obviously, yeah, this is totally something that we are going to go to.
Oh yeah.
So you guys, let me know in the comments below. First of all, had you heard about this? Are you excited about this? What other questions do you have? Let me know. I'll try to answer those. But also, what did I miss? Maybe there's some other like huge Disney research nerds out there and you're like, actually, Adam, you missed some key things. Tell me what those are below. Educate me, please. But most of all, you guys, I want to hear what your thoughts are about this. Are you excited about the Lighthouse Point property? What would you like to see Disney do with that? Is there anything specific there that you would love to see? For us, we're just excited about a new Disney location that we get to go, cruise, enjoy, lay in the sun, put our feet in the sand, swim in the water. It sounds perfect.
As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and we will see you on the next LeggLife video.